Therāpadāna.
The Legends of the Theras. Pasukla Chapter the 49th. 478. 481. Pamsukulasanika. The Blessed One named Tissa was a self become one, foremost man. Leaving behind his robe of rags, the victor entered his dwelling. Taking my bow which had been stretched, wandering for the sake of food, with a circular sword as well, I entered into the grove then. There I saw the Buddha's rag robe, stuck up in the top of a tree. Throwing down the bough right there, having pressed my hands on my head, happy with pleasure in my heart, and with a huge amount of joy, remembering the best Buddha, I worshipped his robe of rags then. In the 92 eons since, I worshipped that rag robe back then. I've come to know no bad rebirth. That is the fruit of worshipping. My defilements are now burnt up. All new existence is destroyed. Like elephants with broken chains, I am living without constraint. Being in best Buddha's presence was a very good thing for me. The three knowledges are attained. I have done what the Buddha taught, the four analytical modes, and these 8 deliverances, 6 special knowledges mastered. I have done what the Buddha taught. Thus indeed Venerable Pamsukulasanika Thera spoke these verses. The legend of Pamsukulasanika Thera is finished. For 82. Buddhasanaka. In reading marks and history, with glosses and ritual law, I was learned mantra knowing, a master of the 3 Vedas. Many students came to me then, resembling a river stream. I am teaching mantras to them. Night and day I am not lazy. The Sambuddha named Siddhartha arose in the world at that time. Having driven out the darkness, he displayed the light of knowledge. A certain one of my students conversed with my other students. Having heard the fact he discussed, they then announced the fact to me. A Buddha's risen in the world, an omniscient one world leader. The people are turning to him. We're not going to get anything. Buddhas are born spontaneously, those Eiffel ones, greatly famed ones. Why then don't I also go see the best Buddha, the world leader? Having taken my dear leather, my robes of bark and water pot, departing from my hermitage, I advised my students like this, like a glamorous fig tree bloom, and like the rabbit in the moon, and like the mother's milk of crows, a world leader's hard to obtain. A Buddha's risen in the world. Even human birth's hard to get, and hearing's very hard to get, when both of them occur at once. A Buddha's risen in the world. We'll get to see him in our lives. Come, we will now all go into the Samasambuddha's presence. They all were holding water pots, and dressed in rough bark and deer hide. They, bearing weights of matted hair, then departed from the forest, looking but a plow's length ahead, searching for ultimate meaning, coming like baby elephants. They were without fear, like lions, free of cares and unwavering, clever and living peacefully, wandering about for gleaning. They approached the best of Buddhas. When a league and a half was left to go, illness arose in me. Remembering the best Buddha, I passed away right on the spot. In the 94 eons since, I obtained that perception then. I've come to know no bad rebirth, the fruit of perceiving Buddhas. My defilements are now burnt up. All new existence is destroyed. Like elephants with broken chains, I am living without constraint. Being in best Buddha's presence was a very good thing for me. The 3 knowledges are attained. I have done what the Buddha taught, the 4 analytical modes, and these 8 deliverances, 6 special knowledges mastered. I have done what the Buddha taught. Thus indeed Venerable Buddhasanaka Thera spoke these verses. The legend of Buddhasanaka Thera is finished. For 83. Bhisadayaka. I, having plunged into a pond, served by various elephants, am pulling up lotus root there, because they're what I'm eating then. The Buddha in that period bore the name Pajamuttara. wearing cloth dyed red, the Buddha, is traveling through the sky there, shaking his robes made out of rags. Then I heard the sound of his robes, and looking upward at the sky, I saw the leader of the world. Remaining in that very place, I invited the world leader. Honey is flowing from the roots, and milk and oil flow from the stems. Let the Buddha, the Eiffel One, with pity accept some from me. Then the teacher, compassionate, the greatly famed one, descended. The Eiffel One, with pity then, accepted that alms food of mine. Accepting it, the Sambuddha expressed his thanks to me like this: Be happy, O merit-filled one. Let your rebirth be accomplished. Due to this gift of lotus root, may you receive huge happiness. Having said that, the Sambuddha, the one whose name was Best Lotus, the Sambuddha taking that food, the victor flew off through the sky. Having taken more lotus root, I came back to my hermitage. Hanging that root up in a tree, I remembered my offering. A massive windstorm then arose. It agitated the forest. The space was filled up with the noise of thunderbolts bursting forth there. Then lightning falling from the sky struck me right on top of my head. Because of that, sitting down, I passed away right on the spot. Then bound up with my good karma, I was reborn in Tusita. When my human body fell down, I delighted in the God's world. 86,000 women then, decked out in fine clothes and jewelry, wait on me evening and morning. The fruit of giving lotus root. Having come to a human womb, I am then happy all the time. I have no lack of possessions. The fruit of giving lotus root. Having then been pitted by him, the God of gods, the neutral one, all defilements are exhausted. Now there will be no more rebirth. In the 100,000 eons, since I gave that alms food back then, I've come to know no bad rebirth. The fruit of giving lotus root. My defilements are now burnt up. All new existence is destroyed. Like elephants with broken chains, I am living without constraint. Being in best Buddha's presence was a very good thing for me. The 3 knowledges are attained. I have done what the Buddha taught, the 4 analytical modes, and these 8 deliverances, 6 special knowledges mastered. I have done what the Buddha taught. Thus indeed Venerable Bhisadayaka Thera spoke these verses. The legend of Bhisadayaka Thera is finished. For 84. Nanathavika. My well-made hermitage was there, in the southern Himalayas, searching for ultimate meaning. I'm then living in the forest, satisfied with roots and with fruit, whether I receive them or not, searching for a proper teacher. I am living alone just then. The Sambuddha named Sumedha arose in the world at that time. While preaching the 4 noble truths, he ferried many folks across. I did not hear of the Buddha, and no one told me about him. When the 8th year had elapsed, I heard of the leader of the world. After bringing wood for the fire, having swept out the hermitage, having taken my shoulder yoke, I set out from the forest then, staying over a single night. In villages and also towns, little by little I approached the city named Kandavati. The Buddha in that period was Sumedha, the world leader, preaching the state of deathlessness. He's lifting up many beings, stepping past the mass of people, worshipping the dispensation, placing deer hide on one shoulder. I praised the leader of the world. You're the teacher for those who breathe, the banner, the flag, and the pole. You are the goal, the solid ground, the island, the best of bipeds. The 21st recitation portion. Sharp in philosophy, hero, you ferry the people across. There's no other star in the world that is higher than you, O sage. It is possible to measure the ocean with a blade of grass, but not ever could one measure your knowledge, O omniscient one. It's possible to lift the earth onto a comparable sphere, but not ever could one measure your wisdom, O omniscient one. It's possible to measure all space with a rope or by the inch, but not ever could one measure your good conduct, omniscient one. the water in the great ocean, and space of this bountiful earth, are both things that can be measured. You're beyond measure, Eyeful One. With those 6 verses having praised the greatly famed, omniscient One, having pressed both hands together, I then remained there silently. The one whom they call Sumetha, very wise and intelligent, seated in the monks' assembly, spoke these verses about me then. This one who has praised my knowledge, feeling well pleased by his own hands, I shall relate details of him. All of you listen to my words. For 77 eons, he'll delight in the world of gods. 1,000 times the Lord of gods, he will exercise divine rule. Also, a different 100 times, he'll be a king who turns the wheel. And there will be much local rule, innumerable by counting, whether born human or divine, being fitted with good karma, with intentions not lacking thought. He will be one with sharp wisdom. In 30,000 eons hence, arising in Okaka's clan, the one whose name is Gautama, will be the teacher in the world. Having departed from the house, he will go forth having nothing. Being only 7 years old, he will attain arahantship. As far back as I remember, ever since I reached discretion, in the interval I don't know, any thinking that's not lovely, transmigrating in every life, I experience good fortune. I have no lack of possessions. That's the fruit in praising knowledge. The 3 fires are blown out in me. All new existence is destroyed. Knowing well all the defilements, I am now dwelling undefiled. In the 30,000 eons, since I praised the Buddha's knowledge, I've come to know no bad rebirth. That's the fruit in praising knowledge. My defilements are now burnt up. All new existence is destroyed. Like elephants with broken chains, I am living without constraint. Being in best Buddha's presence was a very good thing for me. The 3 knowledges are attained. I have done what the Buddha taught, the 4 analytical modes, and these 8 deliverances, 6 special knowledges mastered. I have done what the Buddha taught. Thus indeed Venerable Athavika Thera spoke these verses. The legend of Athavika Thera is finished. For 85. Candananamaliya, giving up the 5 sense pleasures, forms which are dear and delightful, giving up 800 million, I went forth into homelessness. After going forth I gave up bad karma done with the body, giving up bad conduct through words. I dwelt upon a river's banks. Then the best Buddha approached me, living alone near that river. I did not know. He's the Buddha. I gave him a friendly welcome. Giving him that friendly welcome, I then asked him his name and clan. Are you a god, a music nymph, or even generous Indra? Or else who are you? Son of whom? Like God himself has come here now. You're shining in all directions, like the sun when it is rising. Marks of wheels with 1,000 spokes are seen on your foot, happy one. Who then are you? The son of whom? How then can we come to know that? Please declare your name and your clan. Please do relieve me of my doubts. I'm not a god, a music nymph, nor even generous Indra, and I do not exist as God. I am superior to them. In the past I burst asunder their sphere, the chains of sense pleasures, having destroyed all defilements, the best awakenings attained. After hearing those words of his, I spoke these words to him back then. If you're a Buddha, O great sage, please sit down here, omniscient one. I am going to worship you. You're the ender of suffering. Spreading out my dear hide leather, I gave it to the teacher then. The blessed one sat down there like a lion in a mountain cave. Quickly ascending a mountain, I gathered a mango tree's fruit, a beautiful safflower and some very costly sandalwood. Quickly taking all of that, I approached the leader of the world. Giving the fruit to the Buddha, I offered him that safflower. Anointing him with sandalwood, I then worshipped him, the teacher, happy with pleasure in my heart, and with a huge amount of joy, seated on my dear leather robe, Sumedha, leader of the world, then praised my karma at that time, causing me to smile about that, due to this gift of mango fruit, and of both perfume and flowers, for 2500 eons. He will delight in the God's world. With intentions not lacking thought, he will be very powerful. For 2600 eons. He will delight in the God's world. He'll be a king who turns the wheel, victorious on all four sides. The city known as Vebra, constructed by Visakama, will be entirely made of gold, adorned with various gemstones. By means of that very method, he'll transmigrate judiciously, being happy in every place, whether as a god or human. When he obtains his last rebirth, he will be born as a Brahmin. Having departed from the house, he will be one without a home. Mastering special knowledges, he'll reach nirvana, undefiled. Having said that Sambuddha, Sumedha, leader of the world, while I meditated on him, then departed into the sky. Due to that karma done very well, with intention and firm resolve, discarding my human body, I went to Tvetisa then. Having fallen from Tusada, I was born in a mother's womb. There is no lack of possessions. Even when I am in the womb, food and also drink are enjoyed. Even when I'm in mother's womb, due to my desire they're produced. For my mother as she wishes. When I was only 5 years old, I went forth into homelessness. I attained my arahantship, while my hair was being cut off. Searching out my former karma, I did not see it like a child. I remembered karma for the whole 30,000 eons. Praise to you, O well-bred person. Praise to you, ultimate person. Coming in your dispensation, I've attained the unshaking state. In the 30,000 eons, since I worshipped the Buddha then, I've come to know no bad rebirth. That's the fruit of Buddha puja. My defilements are now burnt up. All new existence is destroyed. Like elephants with broken chains, I am living without constraint. Being in best Buddha's presence was a very good thing for me. The 3 knowledges are attained. I have done what the Buddha taught, the 4 analytical modes, and these 8 deliverances, 6 special knowledges mastered. I have done what the Buddha taught. Thus indeed Venerable Candananamaliya Thera spoke these verses. The legend of Candananamaliya Thera is finished. For 86. Dhatupujaka. When the world's Lord reached nirvana, Siddhartha, leader of the world, having summoned my relatives, I worshipped that Buddha's relics. In the 94 eons since, I worshipped those relics back then. I've come to know no bad rebirth. That's the fruit of relic worship. My defilements are now burnt up. All new existence is destroyed. Like elephants with broken chains, I am living without constraint. Being in best Buddha's presence was a very good thing for me. The 3 knowledges are attained. I have done what the Buddha taught, the 4 analytical modes, and these 8 deliverances, 6 special knowledges mastered. I have done what the Buddha taught. Thus indeed Venerable Dhatupujaka Thera spoke these verses. The legend of Dhatupujaka Thera is finished. For 87. Pulinuppada. On a Himalayan mountain, Devala the ascetic. My meditation walkway there was made by non-human beings, bearing a weight of matted hair, carrying a water pot. Then, searching for ultimate meaning, I departed from the forest. 86,000 students there waited upon me at that time, well known together with their deeds. They are living in the forest. Going out from the hermitage, I made a stupa out of sand. Assembling various flowers, I worshipped that stupa then. Bringing pleasure to my heart there, I re-entered the hermitage. All my students come together, question me about what that meant. All of us would like to find out which deity you're honoring at that stupa made out of sand. Being asked, please tell that to us. The Eiffel ones, greatly famed ones, have no views and no magic spells. They are the ones I am honoring, the best Buddhas, greatly famed ones. In what way are they great heroes, omniscient ones, lords of the world? What do they look like? What conduct? In what way are they greatly famed? Buddhas have 32 great marks, and also 40 adult teeth. Their eyes, with heifer eyelashes, resemble wild licorice fruits. And when those Buddhas are walking, they look but a plow's length ahead. They do not have a person's voice. Their euphonic sound is not heard. Also, when those well-gone ones walk, they lift up one foot at a time, always starting with the right foot. That is the nature of Buddhas. And those Buddhas are not afraid. Just like lions, the kings of beasts, they do not ever praise themselves, and don't revile living beings. They are free of pride and contempt. The same for all living beings. Buddhas only praise selflessly. That is the nature of Buddhas. And when Buddhas are being born, they radiate light from themselves, and in 6 different ways they cause this whole bountiful earth to quake. And they are able to see hell, and hell is cooled off at that time. A massive cloud rains forth as well. That is the nature of Buddhas. Such like are those great elephants, incomparable, of great fame. In beauty they are unsurpassed, the thus gone ones, beyond measure. All of my students, respectful, then expressed their thanks for my speech, and likewise went along with me, as far as they could and had strength, wishing for their own good karma. They're worshipping that sand stupa, having faith in that speech of mine. Their minds drifted to Buddhahood. Then a god's son, greatly famous, fell down from Tusada heaven. He was born in a mother's womb, making the 10,000 worlds quake. I stood on the walkway which was near my hermitage at that time. All my students, having gathered, came into my presence just then. The earth, bull-like, is bellowing. It's roaring like the king of beasts. It's shaking like a crocodile. What will this be the result of? The Buddha I detailed for you, close to the stupa made of sand, the blessed one, the teacher, now, has been born in a mother's womb, discussing the teaching for them, and having detailed the great sage, exhorting my own students there, I sat in lotus position. All my strength was then exhausted, due to a serious illness. Remembering the best Buddha, I passed away right on the spot. All of my students assembled. They made me a pyre at that time, and taking my mortal remains, they lifted me onto the pyre. Having attended to the pyre, hands pressed together on their heads, wounded by the arrows of grief, come together they lamented. While they were wailing uselessly, I then came back to the pyre there. I am your dead teacher, wise ones. Do not lament my passing on. Endeavor for the highest good, night and day not being lazy. Don't be negligent, all of you. Your moment is offered to you. Exhorting my own students thus, I returned to the world of gods. For 18 eons after that, I delighted in the gods' world. And then 100 times I was a king who turns the wheel of law. Also another 100 times, I was a king who turns the wheel. Also another 100 times, I then exercised divine rule. In the remaining eons I transmigrated as God or man. I've come to know no bad rebirth. That's the fruit of generating. As in the month of Kataka, many trees are in full flower. Likewise in that very season, I have flowered as a great sage. Vigorous efforts the yoked ox, carrying perfect peace for me, like elephants with broken chains. I am dwelling without constraint. In the 100,000 eons, since I praised the Buddha back then, I've come to know no bad rebirth. That's the fruit of praising Buddhas. My defilements are now burnt up. All new existence is destroyed. Like elephants with broken chains, I am living without constraint. Being in best Buddha's presence was a very good thing for me. The 3 knowledges are attained. I have done what the Buddha taught, the 4 analytical modes, and these 8 deliverances, 6 special knowledges mastered. I have done what the Buddha taught. Thus indeed Venerable Pulinuppada spoke these verses. The legend of Pulinuppada is finished. For 88. Taraniya, Atthadasi, the Blessed One, the Self become one world leader, the thus gone one then came up to the banks of river Vinata, a water-dwelling tortoise then, I had come out from the water. I went up to the world leader, the Buddha he desired to cross. Let the Buddha climb onto me, O Atthadasi, O great sage, I will carry you across, you are the ender of suffering. Discerning what I was thinking, Atthadasi the greatly famed, after climbing onto my back, stood there the leader of the world. As far back as I remember, ever since I reached discretion, I have not had such happiness, as when his soles then touched my back. After crossing the Sambuddha, Atthadasi the greatly famed, remaining on the river bank, spoke these verses about me then, just as I ferry folks across the stream of doubt which is the mind, this turtle king, full of merit, ferries me across the river, through this Buddha ferrying and practice of loving-heartedness. For 1800 eons he will delight in the world of gods, coming back here from the God's world, incited by his wholesome roots, sitting down on a single seat, he'll cross over the stream of doubt, as with a seed which is planted in a field which is bountiful. When it rains with proper support, fruit pleases the cultivator. So too within this Buddha field, preached by the Samasambuddha, when it rains with proper support, the fruit will be pleasing to me. I am one bent on exertion, calmed, devoid of grounds for rebirth, knowing well all the defilements. I am now living undefiled. In the 1800 eons, since I did that karma back then, I've come to know no bad rebirth. That is the fruit of ferrying. My defilements are now burnt up. All new existence is destroyed. Like elephants with broken chains, I am living without constraint. Being in best Buddha's presence was a very good thing for me. The three knowledges are attained. I have done what the Buddha taught, the 4 analytical modes, and these 8 deliverances, 6 special knowledges mastered. I have done what the Buddha taught. Thus indeed Venerable Therāpadāna spoke these verses. The legend of Therāpadāna is finished. For 89. Dhammaruci, when Dipakara was Buddha, the victor said of Sumedha, eons beyond measure from now, this one will become a Buddha. The one named Maya is going to be the birth mother of this person. Suddhodana, the father's name. This one will be named Gautama. Being one bent on exertion, having practiced austerities, the Sambuddha will awaken, great famed, at the Bodhi tree's roots. Upatissa and Kalita will be the 2 chief followers. The one whose name is Ananda will attend upon this victor. Kema and Upalava will be chief female followers. Siddha and Alavaka will be the chief pious laymen. Kujutara, Nandamata will be chief pious lay women. The Bodhi tree of this hero is known as the Asvatha tree. After having heard those words of the great sage, the unequaled one, overjoyed both gods and men are praising him, hands pressed together. At that time I was a young man, well educated, named Megha, having heard that best prophesy. For Sumedha, then a great sage, cultivating confidence in Sumedha, font of compassion. When that hero renounced the world, I renounced right along with him, restrained in the monastic rules, and also in the 5 senses. He lived pure, mindful, a hero, doer of what the victor taught. While I was living in that way, I strayed away from the good road, urged into bad behavior by a certain evil friend of mine. Having been controlled by reason, I fell from the dispensation. Afterward, by that bad friend, the murder of my mother was schemed. I did no interval karma, and I killed with an evil mind. I fell from there right into hell, born in a very cruel place. Being gone to that woeful state, I long transmigrated in pain, not seeing the hero again, Sumedha the bull among men. In this aeon in the ocean, I was a Timagala fish, Having seen a ship in the sea, I approached it looking for food. Seeing me, the traders, afraid, remembered the best of Buddhas. I heard a huge sound shouted out, "Gautama!" They cried in terror, recalling the past perception. I passed away right on the spot. I was reborn in Sravasti, a Brahmin in a high-ranked clan. My name was Dhammaruci then, a loather of every evil. Having seen the lamp of the world, being only 7 years old, I went to great Jetavana and went forth into homelessness. I approached the Buddha 3 times, every night, also every day. Seeing me, the sage called me long-time Dhammaruci. After that I told the Buddha how my past karma had progressed. Very long, marked with hundreds of good deeds, conditions then gradually purified. Today I am looking closely indeed. I am seeing your body without compare. Very long, darkness is destroyed by it. Through guarding purity, the stream has been cleansed. Very long, now purified without fault, is the eye made out of knowledge, O great sage. A long time, now come together with you, not destroyed. Again the interval was long. Today again come together with you, O Gautama. Deeds do not just disappear. My defilements are now burnt up. All new existence is destroyed. Like elephants with broken chains, I am living without constraint. Being in best Buddha's presence was a very good thing for me. The 3 knowledges are attained. I have done what the Buddha taught, the 4 analytical modes, and these 8 deliverances, 6 special knowledges mastered. I have done what the Buddha taught. Thus indeed Venerable Dhammaruci Thera spoke these verses. The legend of Dhammaruci Thera is finished. For 90. Salamandapiya, plunged into a sal tree forest. I had a well-made hermitage, which was covered with sal flowers. I live in the woods at that time. The Blessed One, Payadasai, self become one, the chief person, seclusion lover, Sambuddha, came into the sal forest then. Departing from the hermitage, I went into the forest then, searching for roots and fruit to eat. I'm roaming in the forest then. There I saw him, the Sambuddha, Payadasai, greatly famed one, well seated, attaining the goal, shining light in the great forest, having placed 4 sticks of wood there, building a well-made pavilion. Above the Buddha at that time, I covered it with sal flowers. For 7 days I held up that sal flower-covered pavilion, bringing pleasure to my heart there. I worshipped him, the best Buddha. At that time the Blessed One then rose up from his meditation, looking but a plow's length ahead. The ultimate person sat down, named Varua, the follower of Payadasai, the teacher, with 100,000 masters, then approached the guide, the Buddha, Payadasai, the Blessed One, the world's best one, the bull of men, seated in the monks' assembly. The victor then displayed a smile. Anuruddha, the attendant of Payadasai, the teacher, placed his robe on one shoulder, then asked this of him, the great sage, "What is the cause, O Blessed One, of the smiling of the teacher? When what reason was being known, did you display that, O teacher?" This young man who held for me a floral canopy for a week, having remembered his karma, I displayed that smile at that time. I do not see sufficient space for that good karma to ripen. In the world of gods or men, there is not found sufficient space. When this good karma possessor is living in the world of gods, as far as his whole retinue, there will be a sal canopy, as befits this one's good karma. Being there he'll be delighted by dances which are all divine, and by songs and speeches as well. As far as his whole retinue, there will be many fine perfumes, and a rain made of sal flowers will be raining all the time there. When this man has fallen from there, he will go to the human state. Here too a floral canopy will be carried all of the time, and here too dance as well as song, well accompanied by cymbals, will attend on him constantly. That's the fruit of Buddha puja. Also, when the sun is rising, A downpour of sal will rain forth, connected with his good karma. That rain will rain all of the time. After 1800 eons, arising in Okaka's clan, the one whose name is Gautama, will be the teacher in the world. Worthy heir to that one's Dhamma, Dhamma's legitimate offspring, knowing well all the defilements, he'll reach nirvana, undefiled. There will be a sal canopy for this one who grasps the teaching, and that sal canopy will be there for him being burnt on a pyre, detailing the result for me. Payadasai Buddha, great sage, preached Dharma to my retinue, refreshing them with Dharma rain. For 30 eons among the gods I exercised divine rule, and 60 plus 4 times I was a king who turns the wheel of law. Coming here from the world of gods, I'm receiving huge happiness. Here too there's a sal canopy. That's the fruit of a canopy. This is the final time for me. My last rebirth is proceeding. Even here a sal canopy exists for me all of the time. Having pleased him, the sage so great, Gautama, bull of the Sakyas, I've attained the unshaking state, beyond all conquest and defeat. In the 1800 eons, since I worshipped the Buddha then, I've come to know no bad rebirth. That's the fruit of Buddha puja. My defilements are now burnt up. All new existence is destroyed. Like elephants with broken chains, I am living without constraint. Being in best Buddha's presence was a very good thing for me. The 3 knowledges are attained. I have done what the Buddha taught, the 4 analytical modes, and these 8 deliverances, 6 special knowledges mastered. I have done what the Buddha taught. Thus indeed Venerable Salamandapiya Thera spoke these verses. The legend of Salamandapiya Thera is finished. The summary: Namal Medata, Ukasatika Viyani, Kamasa and Kusaha too, also Jirapunajaya, Valakara Panadita, and then Pulnakakama. 5 and 90 are the verses that are counted by those who know. The Pasukla chapter, the 49th.